so when we fall into the dream of form, we have fear because we haven't yet fully integrated this. And when we have fear, we have ego rise up. And ego is just the attempt to fix this huge fear problem that rose up now. And we're all running around like, a bunch of kindergartners trying to make ourselves feel better. And, I'm better now because I'm a part of this group, or I can have this object, or I can have this power, like whatever, all the millions of manifestations of ego. But at the heart, our true nature is already complete love and joy and freedom and innocence. We are good at our very core. That is true of all people. There's so much conditioning, not just in one human life too. We're talking about a context that's even much bigger than that, a history that's even much bigger. But from the spiritual perspective, from that higher perspective, there's complete understanding. There's complete vision. It's like, oh, I see exactly why you experienced the way you did. Oh, wow, you actually really were, you see the amazing qualities of the other. And there's just so much profound love that rises up for the other.
What is the in-between a human life like? And is that essentially what you were seeing in that pre-birth experience? Is the in-between?
This context is very vast. So we like to narrow it down to simple. There's like earth level, and then there's like in-between level, and then tell me about that level, because here on earth, that's kind of how we think of places, Well, even on earth, think of how many places there are. And we're in a very limiting system.
Right.
So I'm just saying that as a context, because the scope of being and the scope of activity that is available to the soul when not limited to an incarnation is unspeakably vast.
Yeah.
But I can at least say from my experience, I remember having experiences in different layers that led up to the choice to incarnate and to be Christian. And I remember being in a realm of golden light. I remember this being coming to me and asking me if I wanted to go back yet, if I was ready yet, and then reviewing this life. I had a previous incarnation attempt first that did not work out because I rejected it out of fear. And anyway, so that whole process takes place in a similar level, and there are many different places in it, but they're transversed by thought alone, intention. So you just intend, or you want to be somewhere, and you're there. And there's so many different aspects of that. I can't possibly put language on it. I can say the closest to when I actually incarnated, like, again, this transcends linear time too. So it's really hard to speak to. But at the point that was closest to incarnation, I was in a place that appeared to be, as an example, we like environment, so I can at least describe one environment. I was in this room that looked like a technician's chamber, and it was over the earth, and there was like a shaft leading down to the earth, and there were these beings there that are like veil application technicians, something like that. And that place was very close vibrationally to earth, but still, pre-incarnation. So I still had all my knowing. I could see the earth, but I wasn't in that layer. I wasn't at that vibrational density. The incarnation process is like a plummet of vibration down to resonate into this comparatively very, very dense experience by comparison.
So kind of in a way, you don't really actually go anywhere.
Exactly.
Because you're everything and everywhere. You don't go anywhere. You just lower your frequency down so much to experience this super dense, linear, time-consuming, fear-based reality.
Exactly.
You're like, wow, we're having, oh my God, being a human is the dark night of the soul itself.
It is. It's the most dense, most opportunity offering, limiting. Wow. See, those are synonymous. Opportunity offering and limiting are synonymous. Opportunity that's handed to us, and that's right, we don't actually ever leave. It's like the experience plays upon the movie screen of our awareness, and we seem to be locked into it. I mean, of course, that's the very nature of being veiled. It seems like this is all there is. That's the name of the game. But our consciousness is actually still there. You could say that a subset of the self is like committed into the physical experience, but the whole self is always outside of it. It's like, you could say metaphorically, it's like falling asleep in heaven to have the dream of earth. When you wake up in the morning, you never left your bed. Similarly, when you wake up after physical death, you never left. You never were in any real danger.
Well, I get very tripped out on how the universe works and sort of the fractal nature of it, and how, it's hard to put into words. I can kind of like feel this sort of looping almost. And it's like a black hole, almost like it sucks it in, and then, new galaxies are born. And it's like, it feels like there's almost an aspect within us that does that. And because there's no other, I try and rationalize, and maybe we're just not even capable of it as human beings. And maybe it's not within our sort of data computing capabilities, but things like quantum entanglement and things like, we can't imagine that with our linear life that we live here, that something on opposite ends of the universe can communicate instantaneously.
That's because the universe is virtual. It's all being simulated at once. So the communication is outside of the universe, because that which is generating the universe is already connected to itself. It doesn't need distance. Distance is an illusion. You can think of it that way. Distant, like we believe in distance, a lot, but distance is just a visual experience, a sensory experience, an idea. It's all these forms. It's an illusion. But anyway, I like what you said about the fractal nature of reality, because it very much is like that. So above, so below, as it said, the quality of the spirit is such that we do have fractals of being. You have the source that has individuated into drops. You have each drop, each soul that is individuated into different personalities that appear from a given personality's perspective as separate, but they're not separate. They're one. Mm-hmm. You are all your characters that you've played. You're the same you. Anyway, so it is like that. It's like a huge fractal system within consciousness.
I was just, I interviewed a guy named Shervin. He has a cool company called Symbiotica, and he's very spiritual and has been sort of walking in this world for since he was like 10. And we were talking about the evil forces that would be controlling the planet, and is there an Illuminati or a cabal, or is there a deep state? And he described it in a way that was like, it's not that there's a group. And we kind of deduced it down to the fact that it's actually just a macro of the micro, which is that it's an aspect within us, like this sort of like greed or materialism. It's on the micro version, it's an aspect within us, and that the real solution is not necessarily to point the finger and be a victim. It's to fix it within yourself, because when we all do that, it's all fixed. Absolutely.
The simplest way I feel to put that is that it's all fear. Fear, that is, we've rejected something. We're not okay with something, and so we grab for control. That's what the ego does. And that happens in many different layers. It happens in groups, it happens in individuals. But the thing is that external environment is not the active playing field for real change. I mean, it will fix itself if the real environment is addressed, and that is consciousness itself. So the simplest way to put that is face your own fear. Own your own crap in your life, and find the joy and the love that you already are, that got buried underneath all these other things. Maybe it even got buried at the moment you incarnated. Now you're physical. You don't like being separate from everybody else. That's okay. Find the real you in there. Face the fear, process it, allow it. That actually helps the entire collective to heal, because we're all connected. Like, we're a part of one pond, one soup. And when one of us does that and really finds the love and processes the fear, it's like a light that goes off for everybody else in the pond, and it raises the temperature of the water for the whole pond. So we're not powerless. We tend to look external all the time. Sure. Oh, look at the political parties, look at the laws, look at the face your own fear, and know that there's nothing to fear, and that you are love and you are joy. And if you find that in your life, you will change the world. That vibration will affect the whole world, rather than being lost in this idea of hopelessness that we can't affect the world. It's not true. Because
you said you aborted the previous life to this one because fear took over and was too much. Yeah. And so do we choose the life that we have? Do we choose our parents? Do we choose our friends? Do we incarnate with a soul family to make it easier? Like, how is it that we come into the experience that we're having in this life?
Yeah, so we absolutely choose to come. I know that that's strange when so many people feel that their lives are difficult and, they're suffering. And so many people would say, I would never sign up for this.
Well, we have really big balls when we're on the other side.
Yes.
We're like, I got this. I mean, I think that about myself as I say that to myself regularly. I'm like, Danica, seriously, what did you sign up for?
No,
Like,
no.
what did you think that you had the balls for here?
Okay, so it's so funny because what you just described, I actually remember doing. So I remember seeing the vibrational distance and going, holy crap, that is further than I've ever done. Can it even be done? Because it was so, like, in my case, it was a one very specific vibration, one fear that I came to process and heal. And it was so vibrationally low that I was like, how is it even possible? And I was told, yes, it is. And I just knew, like, if it can be done, then I will do it, because I knew what we are. We are unlimited immortal beings who can't fail. We can't fail. Like, we can't actually fail, but we can, like, get underneath the weight bench and put 150 or 200 or 500 pounds on there and give it a shot, and then once we get underneath the weight, that the thing about this weight bench is once you're strapped into the roller coaster, you can't get off. That's the name of the game. We want to be committed into a context that we can't easily escape. That way we have to be, quote unquote, forced to face ourselves, to face our limitations, to face our fears, to overcome them, to see if we can really be there for each other in compassion and love and kindness, even when it's hard. So anyway, we do see that context pre-life, and everybody has a different, intentionality behind their incarnation. It's very specific to the soul and their qualities and what they're interested in, and specific to the life and the context. There's a huge variety there.
If you like this clip and you want to hear the whole episode, click at the bottom of your screen.